Hey, welcome back to the Natural English Podcast. Or if this is your first time with us, welcome. I am Alex.
And I am Sarah. Thanks for listening today.
So, today, we are going to talk about something you probably do on your phone or on your laptop. Online shopping, buying things on the internet.
Yeah, clothes, books, food, maybe even furniture. A lot of us buy all of that online now.
So, before we really start, I want you to think about one question. Do you usually shop online or in stores? Just imagine your usual day or your usual month. Where do you really spend your money?
Maybe you almost never go to a physical store anymore. Or maybe you only buy plane tickets online and nothing else. There's no right answer here. We just want you to picture your real habits, your real life.
And in this episode, we will help you talk about that, not just in your head, but in clear English. This is a B2 level episode, so upper intermediate. We will use natural conversation, but not super fast, not crazy difficult.
You will hear real phrases that people actually use, things you can copy and say to your friends or coworkers.
And I want to give you the goal for today, the sentence you should be able to say after this episode. Today, our goal is, I can talk about my online shopping habits and explain my choices in English.
Let me say that one more time, a little slower. I can talk about my online shopping habits and explain my choices in English. If you can honestly say that at the end, then you reach the goal for this episode.
So, how will we help you do that?
In this episode, we will focus on three things, three clear skills. First, how to explain your own online shopping habits. For example, how often you buy online and what kind of things you buy. Second, how to compare online shopping with shopping in a store. So, saying what you prefer and why. And third, how to give reasons. Why you decide to buy or not to buy something online.
We will keep the conversation pretty natural, like a real talk between friends, but because this is for learners, we will sometimes slow down on important expressions. We might repeat a phrase or say it in a simpler way, so you really catch it.
And if we use a word that might be new for you, we will explain it in a simple, quick way. For example, the word habit. A habit is something you do regularly, again and again, almost without thinking. Like, I have a habit of checking online reviews before I buy.
Nice. And we will have more keywords like that, but not too many. We want you to focus on using English, not memorizing a long list. Now, maybe you are wondering, okay, Alex, what about you? How do you shop? So, very quickly, my general style is like this. I usually buy everyday stuff online, things like toothpaste, coffee beans, pet food. I do not want to carry heavy bags from the store. But for clothes, I still like to go to a shop. I want to try them on. I want to feel the material. So I kind of mix both, online and in store.
Yeah, I am a bit different. I buy most things online now, even a lot of my clothes. But I really like to go to a bookstore in person. That is my one thing. So my style is almost everything online, but books in a real shop. We will talk about our habits in more detail later, and you can compare your style with ours.
By the way, there is one useful phrase we will use a lot today. The phrase is, it depends. It depends means there is no simple yes or no answer. The answer changes with the situation. For example, do you like online shopping? You can say, it depends. For small things, yes. For expensive things, not really.
That phrase is super natural. People say it all the time in English conversations. So listen for it in this episode. Another useful word for today is convenient. Convenient means easy for you. It saves time or energy. For example, online shopping is convenient because I do not need to leave my house.
So as you listen, try to notice how we use words like habit, it depends, and convenient when we talk about shopping. And you can think about your own answers too. For you, what is convenient? When does it depend?
You do not need to speak out loud right now, but if you want to, that is great. You can even pause the episode and answer some of our questions.
Because remember, the aim is not only to understand us, the aim is to be able to talk about this topic yourself.
So, online shopping, your style, our style, reasons, preferences. That is where we are going today.
And we will not just chat and move on. Today, we will not just talk. We will also give you phrases you can copy and use immediately.
You can use them in small talk with coworkers, or in a language class, or when you travel and want to share your opinion.
Okay, so before we tell you all the details about our own habits, in detail, let's look at some useful vocabulary for online shopping. Sarah, can you introduce some key phrases we need? So in this part, we want to give you some really useful phrases for talking about your online shopping habits.
Yeah, and we are going to keep them simple, but still B2 level, so you can sound natural, not like a textbook.
Okay, Sarah, maybe we start with a very easy pattern. How to say what you usually buy online.
Sure, the first one is, listen carefully. I usually shop online for plus the thing. For example, I usually shop online for books.
So you can change books to clothes, cosmetics, groceries, whatever you want.
Exactly. Another nice pattern is, I tend to buy something online. Like, I tend to buy electronics online.
When would you use I tend to buy instead of I usually shop online for?
Good question. I tend to buy sounds a little softer. It means this is my normal habit, but it is not 100%. So, I tend to buy electronics online, but sometimes I go to a store.
Nice. Another pattern I hear a lot is, most of the time I prefer to.
Yes. So you can say, most of the time I prefer to shop online, or most of the time I prefer to buy things in store.
So that one shows your general style, your usual choice.
Right. But sometimes your answer is mixed. Then a really useful phrase is, it depends. It depends means there is no simple yes or no.
Yeah, it depends is great. When would you say it depends when talking about shopping?
For example, it depends. I usually shop online for electronics, but I like to buy clothes in a store. So the answer changes depending on the product.
Okay, so we had I usually shop online for I tend to buy online. Most of the time I prefer to, and it depends.
Now, let us talk about giving reasons. One very useful phrase is mainly because. Mainly because means this is the biggest reason.
Can you give a shopping example with mainly because?
Sure, I like buying groceries online, mainly because it saves me time. So the main reason is saving time.
Nice. And another phrase, a little bit longer, is one big reason is that.
Yeah, one big reason is that is very clear. It introduces a strong reason. For example, I prefer online shopping. One big reason is that I can compare prices easily.
You just used another useful phrase there, compare prices.
Yes, compare prices means look at the price on different websites and see which one is cheaper. Like, before I buy a new phone, I always compare prices on 3 or 4 sites.
Good. What about simple reason phrases like, it saves me time, or it is more convenient?
Those are great. You can say, it saves me time, or it saves me money, and it is more convenient means it is easier for me, it fits my life better.
Online shopping has good points, but also bad points. Could you share a phrase to talk about a good point first?
Sure, a nice B2 phrase is, another advantage is, advantage means a good point, a plus. For example, I shop online a lot. Another advantage is I do not have to carry heavy bags.
Okay, and how about a phrase for a problem or a negative point?
You can say, on the downside. On the downside is like saying, but there is a problem. For example, online shopping is convenient. On the downside, returns can be difficult.
Great. Let us put a few of these together in a mini conversation. I will ask you, Sarah, do you usually shop online?
It depends. I usually shop online for electronics, mainly because it saves me time, but I prefer to buy clothes in store. One big reason is that I want to try them on.
Nice. So as you listen, think about which of these phrases you can use for your own habits. Now that we have some useful phrases, let us use them in a natural conversation about our own shopping styles. So, Sarah, when you need to buy something, do you usually shop online or in a physical store?
It depends. I usually shop online for electronics and books, mainly because it saves me time. But when it comes to clothes, I really prefer to try them on in a store.
Right, that makes sense. So most of the time for things like gadgets and books, you click and buy online. But for clothes, you want to touch them, try them, see the color properly.
Exactly. And I would say, most of the time I shop online in the evening. You know, after work when I'm tired, I just sit on the sofa and scroll.
Yeah, same here. And what kind of online shopper are you? Are you careful or do you just buy quickly?
Honestly, I am a bit of an impulse buyer online. If I see something cute or interesting, sometimes I just click buy without planning.
Really? So you are what we call an impulse buyer. You see it, you like it, and you buy it.
Yeah, and maybe we can pause here for a second for our listeners. An impulse buyer is someone who buys things suddenly, without planning. One more time. An impulse buyer buys things suddenly, without planning. For example, I am an impulse buyer when I see cheap phone cases online. I do not really need them, but I buy them anyway.
Okay, I see. I am kind of the opposite. I usually compare prices first. I often check 2 or 3 websites before I buy something.
You are one of those careful shoppers. So you often compare prices on different websites before you buy.
Yeah, I tend to wait a little. I like to see if the price goes down or if there is a better deal somewhere else.
Nice phrase there, I tend to. Listener, when Alex says, I tend to wait, it means this is his usual habit, his normal way. Not always, but generally. So we have 2 nice habit phrases here. One is most of the time. Like, most of the time I shop online in the evening. And the other is I tend to. Like, I tend to wait before I buy.
Yeah, you can try it, listeners. For example, most of the time and then your habit. Or, I tend to, and then your typical action.
All right, let us go back to our styles. Alex, what about you? What do you usually buy online?
These days, I usually buy groceries online, like milk, rice, snacks, basic things. I also have a subscription for coffee beans.
A subscription for coffee beans. That sounds nice. Can you explain subscription in a simple way?
Sure. A subscription is when something comes to you regularly, and you pay every week or every month. For example, I have a subscription for coffee beans, so they arrive at my home every month.
Right. Some people also have a subscription for streaming services, or for pet food, or for vitamins.
Exactly. And for me, the big reason I shop online is convenience. It is just easier. I do not have to carry heavy bags. I do not have to go out in the rain.
Yeah, convenience is a big one. But there are some downsides too, right? Like delivery fees and waiting time.
True. Sometimes the delivery fee is almost the same as the product. And if I need something today, waiting 2 or 3 days can be annoying.
And returns can be a pain too. If the size is wrong or the item is damaged, you have to pack it again, print a label, send it back.
Yeah, that is one reason I do not often buy clothes online. I worry about returns. I prefer to try clothes in a store, like you.
So, listeners, now you have heard our shopping styles. I am more of an impulse buyer for some things, and Alex likes to compare and wait. We both have reasons for choosing online or offline. Maybe you also have a clear point where you think, okay, for this, I prefer online. But for that, I want a real store.
In the next part, we will help you compare options and give your opinion in English. We will look at phrases to say which one you prefer and why. So, let's compare online shopping and in-store shopping today. What are the pros and cons of each one?
Yeah, that phrase is really useful. Pros and cons. Pros are the good points, and cons are the bad points. So when you say, what are the pros and cons, you mean what are the good sides and the bad sides?
Nice. And to compare things, we have some really helpful phrases.
Right. Let me give you a few key ones. First, compared to. Compared to. Compared to just means when you look at one thing and another thing together. For example, compared to shopping online, going to a physical store feels more social.
Yeah, you see people, you talk to staff. It feels like an activity.
Another really useful phrase is, in my opinion. In my opinion just means, this is what I think. This is my personal idea. So you can say, in my opinion, online shopping is more convenient because I do not have to leave the house.
Yeah, in my opinion, it saves energy too. You just click a few times.
And one more important pattern, personally I prefer because personally means for me in my life. Prefer means you like one thing more than another thing. So you can say, personally, I prefer online shopping because it is quick and easy.
Let us try some real opinions now. I will speak like a typical online shopper. Personally, I prefer online shopping because it saves me time. I do not have to travel. I do not need to wait in line. I can just order in a few minutes.
Okay, let us look at that sentence slowly. You said, I prefer online shopping because it saves me time. This has a very clear structure. First, your preference. I prefer online shopping. Then, your reason, because it saves me time. So you can copy this pattern, I prefer something because, and then your reason.
For example, I prefer going to stores because I like walking around.
Exactly, preference plus reason.
Let me share a few more typical thoughts for each side. I like trying things on in store. I can check the size and the color right away. On the other hand, I sometimes worry about quality when I buy online.
That phrase, on the other hand, is great for showing contrast. It means, now I will talk about the opposite side, or the different point. So you might say, one advantage of online shopping is the price. On the other hand, returns can be difficult.
Let us do a short role play now. I will be the online shopping fan.
And I will be the person who likes real stores more.
Okay. In my opinion, online shopping is better because it is more convenient. I can compare prices easily, and I can shop late at night.
I see your point, but personally, I like going to stores. It feels more relaxing, and I can see the product in person.
Compared to shopping in a mall, Buying online is less stressful for me. No crowds, no noise.
For me, compared to ordering online, visiting a store feels more social. I can go with a friend, we can talk and look around together.
One advantage of online shopping is the huge choice. You can find almost anything.
On the other hand, one advantage of in-store shopping is you get the product immediately. No waiting for delivery.
So we are using the same patterns again and again. In my opinion, personally, I prefer compared to. One advantage is, on the other hand.
And do not forget the simple preference plus reason shape. I prefer online shopping because it is convenient. Or, I prefer real stores because I like seeing things in person.
By now, you have a small toolkit of phrases to share your opinion and compare choices. We looked at pros and cons. We used, in my opinion, personally, I prefer compared to, and on the other hand. So, we are building up the language you need to say what you like and why. Next, we will help you practice. We will give you some guided questions so you can talk about your own online shopping habits.
Yes. Now it is your turn to answer and to use these phrases about your own life.
Okay, now it is your turn. We will do some guided speaking practice about your online shopping.
Do not worry if your answer is not perfect. Just try to speak.
First question, do you usually shop online or in stores, and why?
You can start with, I usually shop online for, or most of the time, I prefer.
Okay, now pause the audio and answer in your own words. Pause here for 5 seconds of silence.
If you cannot say a full sentence, it is okay. Just copy one part, like, I usually shop online, and add one more small idea.
Now, here are 2 short sample answers. I usually shop online for electronics because it is more convenient and I can compare prices easily.
Most of the time, I prefer going to stores, especially for clothes, because I want to try things on.
All right, next question. What do you often buy online? For example, you can say, I often buy books and clothes online.
You could also start like, I usually order, and then say the things. For example, I usually order skincare products online.
Okay, pause now and give your own answer. Pause here for 4 seconds of silence.
Remember, even if it feels messy, that is normal. Just speaking is already good practice.
Here are our short answers so you can compare. I often buy books and small gadgets online, like phone chargers or headphones.
I usually order food and household items online, things like coffee beans and cleaning products.
Now, let us think a little deeper. What are the pros and cons of online shopping for you?
Pros means advantages, the good points. Cons means disadvantages, the bad points. You can say, one advantage is, and then on the downside. On the downside means one negative thing is. For example, one advantage is it saves time. On the downside, I sometimes buy things I do not need.
Okay, pause the podcast and try to say at least one advantage and one downside. Pause here for 5 seconds of silence.
If that was hard, just repeat the pattern. One advantage is, it is cheap. On the downside, delivery is slow. Simple is fine.
Here are 2 example answers. One advantage of online shopping is the variety. There are so many options. On the downside, I cannot check the quality before I buy.
For me, one advantage is that I can shop late at night. On the downside, I pay extra for shipping sometimes.
Next question. Compared to online shopping, what is good about going to a store? Try starting with, compared to online shopping, going to a store is...
You can finish it with something like more social, more fun, or less stressful. Whatever is true for you.
All right, pause now and give your answer. Pause here for 4 seconds of silence.
If you could not say much, even just the first part is okay. Compared to online shopping, Going to a store is, and then one word like better.
Here is how we might answer. Compared to online shopping, going to a store is more satisfying because I can see and touch the things right away.
For me, compared to online shopping, going to a store is more social because I can go with friends and talk to staff.
Okay, last question for this practice. Are you an impulse buyer online? Why or why not?
Impulse buyer is a useful phrase. It means someone who buys things suddenly without planning just because they feel like it. You could say, I am an impulse buyer because, or I am not an impulse buyer because.
Now pause and try to explain a little bit. Pause here for 5 seconds of silence.
Even if you only say, I am an impulse buyer, or I am not an impulse buyer, that is already a good step.
Here are 2 short examples. I am not an impulse buyer online because I always compare prices and read a lot of reviews before I decide.
I am kind of an impulse buyer, especially when there is a sale. I see a discount and I buy quickly. If you felt stuck in any question, it is okay. You can pause this episode again later and try one more time.
Yes, you can pause many times. Go back and say your answer again and again. Repeating like this really helps your speaking. Now think for a moment. Can you imagine your own online shopping style in English just a little more clearly now?
Maybe you now have a picture in your head of what you buy, why you buy it, and how you feel about online shopping.
Great job practicing. In the last part, we will review what you learned today and give you a small challenge for your real life.
At the end, we will put today's expressions together and think about how you can use them in your own daily life.
So, we are almost at the end of this episode now. Let me say our learning goal one more time. Today, the goal was, I can talk about my online shopping habits and explain my choices in English. If you listen to everything, you are probably pretty close to that now. Maybe not perfect. That is okay. You are much closer than before.
Yeah, you have already done a lot today. Let me quickly jengli, or organize, the main points from this episode into 3 simple parts. First, we practiced how to talk about your habits. Those little phrases like, I tend to, and most of the time. For example, I usually buy books online, or most of the time I check reviews before I buy. Right now, just in your head, try to change that to your life. Maybe, I tend to order clothes online, or I usually only buy cheap things on the internet.
The second big point was saying what you like and why. So phrases like, I prefer because one advantage is, and on the other hand. For instance, I prefer online shopping because I can compare prices easily. On the other hand, one disadvantage is that I cannot try things on. Again, in your mind, change this to your own opinion. Maybe, I prefer going to a store because I like to see the product, or one advantage for me is free delivery.
And the third point was how to compare online and in store. We used phrases like compared to and in my opinion. For example, compared to buying in a shop, online shopping is more convenient for me. Or gim. In my opinion, it is safer to buy electronics in a physical store. One small new word here is downside. Downside means a negative point, a bad side of something. Like, the downside of online shopping is that I sometimes buy things I do not really need.
So now, you have these 3 tools: habits, preferences and reasons, and comparisons. Let us move from practice to real life. I want to give you a tiny challenge, nothing big. Next time you talk to a friend, or maybe a classmate, try to say just one sentence in English about your online shopping. It could be something simple like, I usually buy clothes online because it is cheaper.
And if you do not have a chance to speak, you can still practice by writing. For example, on social media or in a notebook. Just write 3 short sentences about your online shopping habits in English. Let me give you a very easy template. First sentence, I usually buy something online because your reason. For example, I usually buy cosmetics online because there is more choice. Second sentence, one thing I like about online shopping is, and then your idea, maybe. One thing I like about online shopping is that I can shop at night. Third sentence, one thing I do not like about online shopping is, for instance, one thing I do not like about online shopping is waiting for the delivery. If you follow this pattern, you already have a small mini paragraph in English.
There is another useful expression here. One thing I appreciate is, appreciate means to be thankful for something, to feel it is good for you. For example, one thing I appreciate about online shopping is the detailed product information. So you can choose, I like, or I appreciate, depending on what feels natural.
And remember, you do not need to use every phrase from this episode. Just choose 1 or 2 that feel comfortable now and use them a few times.
Yes, if you can take even one expression from today and actually use it, then this episode is a success for you. Real progress comes from these small, real moments, not from being perfect.
If you like, you can also send us a short message in English. You could write about how you use online shopping or your opinion about it. That way you practice, and we can maybe answer your question in a future episode.
In the next episodes, we will keep working with everyday topics like this. Things you really talk about with friends, not just textbook ideas. So, thank you for spending this time with us today. Thanks for listening to Natural English Podcast. See you next time.
Bye for now.